Please, you have the floor for the next topic on the agenda. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll take the reports from my team. Taking into account all that was shared here today, we reach the following conclusion. One, that the unitary constitution of Nigeria is the tap from which the failures and dysfunctions of Nigeria, as well as the woes and mysteries of Nigeria, follow, including corruption, impunity, insecurity, economic freefall, mass poverty, unemployment, agitations, infrastructural decay, serial electoral malfeasance, mass hopelessness, and disillusionment. Two, that the solution to Nigeria is the wholesale decommissioning of the 1999 Constitution, not amendments or forms of legislative action just as South Africa apartheid constitution was jettisoned and decommissioned from 1990 to 1994. Three, that the mechanism for taking down the 1999 constitution is the immediate shutting down of preparations for further national elections under that constitution as a mark of our rejection of that constitution, since election is the mechanism by which the life of the constitution is renewed every 4 years. And since the winner of the election must swear to and govern by that constitution, the election shutdown referred to here is not an election boycott. Number four, that the action required now to trigger the election shutdown that will precipitate the decommissioning of the 1999 Constitution is to demand immediately in 2024 the initiation of a transition process to renegotiate and rework the fundamentally flawed basis of Nigeria in place of another round of election in 2027 under the 1999 Constitution. Five, that the NINA's 5-point proposition for the constitutional reconstruction of Nigeria, which essentially requires the federal government of Nigeria to acknowledge that the unitary constitutional arrangement of Nigeria is reason for the dysfunctions and failure of Nigeria, and to therefore expressly commit to the wholesale constitutional reconstruction of Nigeria in two-stage procedure stipulated by NINA's proposition, which offers Nigeria the most immediate, most valuable framework for an orderly renegotiation, reconfiguration, and reconstruction of the distressed Federation of Nigeria in the face of widespread disputations over the Nigerian Union and the drift towards anarchy. In light of the foregoing, it is recommended that the demand of the protest, which already listed the scrapping of 1999 Constitution as a principal demand, will become exponentially more realizable if reinforced by the express adaptation of the NINA's 5-point proposition, as that will make the protest demand more definitive and therefore offer the best prospect of a definitive response from government in a manner that can truly resolve the long-standing distortions of the Nigerian Federation, which was culminated in the dysfunctions and failures now being protested. Thank you. And I yield the mic.
In December, take the closing remark, please.
The closing remark, in closing, we have heard all that leaders have said. There is no doubt in our mind on the way forward for Nigeria. The only solution, definitive solution for that is immediate definitive solution for Nigeria is to go after the 1999 Constitution. That's enough, and that alone is enough as a demand, because within that demand are all other demands that we are looking at. And so let us be prepared. Let us also share these things, because the record will be available. After this meeting, the record will be available for as long as it will be. So for those who are not able to come, maybe because of one or two reasons, share it to them. Let the message continue to spread so that we can be aware and be informed, because we're moving in ignorance. I've stated that anger is not it's not a strategy. Going out, gallivanting the place is not a strategy. It only gives the government more opportunity to commit mayhem, because they will tell you that they are keeping law and order. But when you come with questioning the foundation upon which they stand, you can begin to tackle them effectively. Let us rise up with this information. Let's not be selfish with it. Let us reach out to our friends, loved ones, because everybody's in danger, whether home and abroad. I think with that being said, I will thank you very much for coming and for being a part of this meeting. We'll have this meeting subsequently more times so that we'll continue to inform Nigerians. And so, thank you very much. I yield the mic.
Mr. Nadi, please, we would love to hear your final thoughts before the announcement. Thank you.
Yes, just to thank everybody that came. The only thing I will reemphasize is that aspect of where a definitive demand will compel a definitive answer. This is what it means. When you have a clear-cut demand that cannot be misunderstood or misinterpreted or distorted, it's in writing, it has starts to finish. That is to say, this is what we want done, this is how we want it done, this is when we want it done, and the response, that's why we had to emphasize the words we used, and we're inviting those who seek this change to adopt those words to compel the response from the other side. We say an acknowledgement. That is something that can be done by an announcement. Announcement acknowledging. Commitment to. So you are not asking the government to decommission that constitution that same day, but you are insisting that they must commit to decommissioning. You are insisting that they must commit openly, formally, to suspending further talk of national elections, that they must commit to the two-stage procedure to go and sort out that matter during that transition that will take the place of election, and that they must now commit to a time-bound announcement of when these things will be done. Once that demand is put forward in that watertight manner, it will not take more than 3 days for the government to come to where it cannot pretend it doesn't understand. Where the government has to give an answer to those specifics, because you are not asking them to do any particular thing than to respond to this specific. They are not going to be able to say that the constitution is not the problem. They already have taken steps to show that the constitution is all the problem. They try to write another one in the backyard, and we stop them. They are not going to acknowledge that the constitution is a problem and now say, give us, we will hang on to it, because this crowd is gearing up for them to come to stop them in all the madness going on. They cannot accept that the constitution is the problem and that they will decommission it and begin to talk about another election that will happen again. So you have locked them into demands that they cannot find any other viable answers, except they decide to shoot all of those who are complaining, which is not possible. They are not going, they have no capacity. You are only just thinking because they have found a way to make it look like they can always say, why are they running all over the place now? Go to the airports and see how many of them are still left here. And so it is within our reach to just say this. If we have been the ones confronting them, but when they look in our direction, they don't see they go back to doing what they are doing to keep that multitude asleep, including occultic manipulations. Rituals are done for mass hypnosis. What do they call it? Hypnosis. Rituals are done. I'm sure we remember the former governor of Sokoto, Bafarawa. At the time they were investigating how Dasuki, the former NSA, distributed the $2 billion they say they shared out. A former governor of Sokoto accounted for what came to him, 4 billion for marabouts. That is occultic manipulation. So if you do not realize that the people who are sharing trillions every month are taking steps to keep you in your ignorance, then you better hear it and know it. That's part of what they're doing, apart from removing history and civic studies and all kinds of things, and getting the church leaders to block you from hearing anything, and getting the media to block this information from getting on their major platforms, and getting the political parties to drag you to to elections every 4 years. They are all together in that coven where your blood is shed. And so definitive demand, that is why we say defining the change we seek and distilling the demands that will deliver that outcome. They dare not. That is the protection. That is the protection for those who are heading into because once you raise that demand, it changes the entire equation, and it does not take anything from you to say the correct thing that disarms your enemy. Every other thing you say gives them a podium to stand, to shoot at you, to contain you, to divide you, to throw money at you, through intimidation at others. And so they can't find any answers, any other answers to these 5 points if that is what you adopt as your demand. And it's reduced to one. We want this constitution out. We want transition immediately so that we can go and rework the unworkable unitary constitution that has brought Nigeria to all of its catastrophes. I'll stop here.